Imagine a night of joy and celebration turning into an unimaginable nightmare in the blink of an eye. That's what happened when a teenage boy lost his life at a New Year's Eve fireworks display, raising profound questions about innocence, intent, and the devastating impact of urban violence. But here's where it gets controversial. Was this a tragic accident fueled by fear and paranoia, or a deliberate act that demands stricter accountability? Dive in as we unpack this gripping story, piece by piece, to understand the full context and what it reveals about our society. A young man named Areece Lloyd-Hall, now 18 years old, has been convicted of murdering 16-year-old Harry Pitman. The heartbreaking incident unfolded at Primrose Hill in North London on December 31, 2023, during a lively public event where crowds gathered to watch spectacular fireworks lighting up the sky over the River Thames. Harry, an enthusiastic teenager enjoying the festivities with his friends, was fatally stabbed in the neck. Lloyd-Hall, a college student from Westminster, faced a retrial at the Old Bailey after the first jury couldn't reach a unanimous decision on the charges. After nearly 8 hours of intense deliberation, the second jury convicted him by a majority vote of 11-1. It's worth noting that Lloyd-Hall had already been found guilty in the initial trial of possessing an offensive weapon, a knife, in this case, which is a common issue in legal discussions around public safety. For beginners trying to follow along, possessing an offensive weapon means carrying something designed or adapted to cause injury, like a bladed tool, which carries serious penalties in the UK to deter potential harm. The prosecution painted a vivid picture through barrister Jocelyn Ledward KC, describing how what started as innocent fun quickly spiraled into disaster. Harry and Lloyd-Hall were complete strangers. Each had come to the park with their own groups of friends to soak in the New Year's Eve atmosphere. Earlier that evening, witnesses recalled Harry being in high spirits. He was so excitable that he literally bounced over to Special Constable David Smith for a casual chat, even fist-bumping another partygoer nearby. It's moments like these that remind us how vibrant and carefree youth can be, only for everything to change so swiftly. And this is the part most people miss. The attack erupted in front of a large crowd, just meters away from uniformed police officers stationed to keep the peace. Lloyd-Hall pushed forward and struck out at Harry with a pointed dagger, a sharp, stabbing tool often associated with medieval weapons, but unfortunately still used in modern conflicts. Shocking mobile phone footage shown in court captured the chaos. A knife sheath was seen flying through the air during the rapid confrontation. Harry clutched his neck, his white t-shirt quickly staining with blood, as he desperately pushed through the throng, shouting for help from the nearby officers. He collapsed soon after, passing away minutes before the clock struck midnight, just as the fireworks peaked. It's a scene that's hard to fathom at what should have been a time of renewal and hope. Lloyd-Hall claimed in his defense that he never meant to cause such grave harm. He insisted he thought he had only struck Harry with the sheath, the protective cover for the blade, in a desperate bid to create distance. "Not my intention," he pleaded, expressing deep regret. "I did not want him to lose his life. I feel horrible for what I caused." He explained that he fled the scene without fully grasping the severity, knowing police were close and that he had the knife in his possession. Adding layers to the story, the jury heard evidence suggesting Lloyd-Hall was grappling with cannabis-induced paranoia at the time. This could have clouded his judgment, potentially exacerbating his fear. Experts also pointed to possible post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, triggered by 2 prior traumatic experiences, witnessing the aftermath of another stabbing incident and the loss of a close friend to knife crime in June 2023. For those new to these concepts, PTSD is a mental health condition that can develop after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event, leading to heightened anxiety and impulsive reactions. It's often discussed in contexts like urban crime, where repeated exposure to violence can create a cycle of fear and mistrust. But here's where it gets controversial again. The defense's arguments about impairment and unintentional harm have sparked debates. Was Lloyd-Hall's state of mind a valid excuse, or does it highlight broader issues like drug use among youth and the need for better mental health support in high-risk communities? Critics might argue that carrying a weapon in a crowded, festive setting inherently escalates risks, regardless of intent. In the first trial last October, the jury agreed he was guilty of the weapon charge but couldn't decide on the rest. Now, with this conviction, it begs the question: should accidental bumps during playful antics lead to such fatal consequences, or does this underscore the dangers of arming oneself in public spaces? The courtroom erupted in gasps from Harry's grieving family as the guilty verdict was delivered. Lloyd-Hall will return to the Old Bailey on November 10th for sentencing, where the court will determine the appropriate punishment, potentially including years in prison given the gravity of taking a life. This case shines a light on the rising tide of knife crime in the UK, where events meant for joy can turn deadly due to misunderstandings or underlying tensions. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. How do we balance personal freedom with public safety? Should harsher laws on weapons deter such tragedies, or is education and mental health intervention the real key? And what about the role of substances like cannabis in influencing behavior? Does it excuse actions, or should users face more scrutiny? What do you think? Does this verdict bring justice, or is there more nuance to explore? Do you agree that paranoia and PTSD should factor into culpability, or does carrying a deadly weapon shift the blame? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective and spark a meaningful discussion.